let me ask you, if the 8% was still, if you are 16%, what price would it be right now?
Who communicated that change?
Thank you. No, that's what I'm telling you. We passed it in Parliament that let's reduce the VAT, right?
Yes.
So if that VAT, if they didn't slash it from 16, these are some of the things that the interventions that have already been done. And I would also want to encourage you, Victor, though you are saying not to play as the devil's advocate, but also be a bit factual so that when we are also engaging, Kenyans also must know that there is something proactive being done. It is not that we are sitting pretty. When CS1 spoke, it is obvious it's not a one-man show. It is also, it trickles around to us because we are the representatives of the people. If the people I represent are suffering, I'm also suffering. Yeah, and I told them I'm a businessman. Even this morning, we had to make some very serious discussions on the business that we are running. So it's affecting everybody.
Okay. Prof, and I want you to also explain to me the aspect of G2G. You had several leaders, even some of experts saying that the G2G agreement, the import strategy has failed politically speaking. So explain for us how this G2G is all about and why the noise and so hard hitting about it.
Victor, I think it's important to all of us agree on one thing, that we all want the cost of fuel to come down, all of us. And this is the cross. It's not about the opposition, about the government, about friends or enemies. It's more about everyone wanting the cost of living to go down. And if the price of fuel goes up, then certainly we are going to have that challenge. Let me just go back before I address that G2G question. Let's go back to the figures that we're talking about.
Yes.
We just mentioned that the cost of fuel in Malawi is more than 500 shillings.
589.
Yeah, 589 shillings. Yes. What we are paying here, what we are talking about 214 shillings. Malawi is paying almost 600 shillings. Here in Kigali, Rwanda, and I'm just looking at standard, which is always very negative about the government. We even put it very clearly that it's 259 shillings per liter. Whatever is retailing at 214 in Nairobi, is 259 in Kigali. And I'm looking at this. It is important to note that this is the standard. It is not any other. If it was something else, then I know Kenyans would be questioned. But if standard says that, then it tells you that this is not a problem. This is a problem that cuts across. And I think, and I agree, Honorable Couture, we need to sit down. Instead of the Matatu Association and all these people going on strike, what they should have asked for is a sitting. So we all sit together and look at the facts on the table and ask ourselves, which headroom do we have to play around to bring the cost of fuel down? And that space is available because the cabinet of Kenya today is a cabinet of the people. Wandai is there waiting to have this conversation. The parliament is here. They're looking forward to having this conversation. And as I said, they're already looking at all the possibilities out there as members of parliament. The cabinet is doing the same thing because whatever affects the fuel in Kenya affects all the other sectors of development.
Yes.
And so everybody's asking, so what do we do? So instead of going out there to tell Kenyans that, the government is failing, I think the point would be, how can we have this boardroom meeting? Let us sit down. Let us look at the facts. Let us see where the problem is. Let us sort of ask ourselves, what kind of solutions can we put on the table? But the most important thing to me is that we must tell Kenyans the truth. Because I don't like when a leader who was in government and, said something different when he was there in 2022, 2023, and when he goes out of government, he starts questioning the same policies that him, as a leader, did lead in passing those policies. When you talk about the G2G, everybody's saying that, people are doing business. No, it is not. That is not the case. Why we have seen the price of fuel go down from 22 is because of that framework. That was crafted by experts, not the politicians or the president of Kenya. It was crafted by the experts. It was presented to the president, and it was brought to parliament.
Yes.
For them to see and agree that it puts the interests of Kenyans at heart. Why it is important not to look into that is because when you go to the UAE, where we have most of our fuel, or Saudi Arabia, where we have all our fuel coming from, before we were affected by the supply shocks. We're also affected by the exchange rates, the forex. Now that G2G stabilized these shocks that were affecting the cost of our fuel in Kenya. Now whatever is happening now is beyond those shocks. The shock of the conflict between Israel, Iran, and the US is not about Kenya. It is affecting. It's a shock that is affecting the fuel industry globally. And if we agree into this, No, I look into what Japan said the other day. I saw the Prime Minister of Japan talking and saying that no, our fuel has gone up by 27%.
Wow.
That is Japan.
Yes.
And Japan is not just any other economy. So now they were trying to negotiate with Iran to give them a bit of space so that they can get more of the fuel to Iran, I mean to Japan, so that 27% could go down to 18%.
Okay.
Now, that is, I'm saying this because, you see, they know if there is a challenge with the supply, certainly, given the demand that we have for fuel, globally, the prices will, of course, go up. And that is what the initial stage, between the end of February and the end of March, many of the countries were trying to negotiate this bilateral engagement with Iran to allow their ships to transport petroleum products to their countries.
I like
now,
it.
but finally, even before we come in, no, the conflict became so complicated. It became so complex that now you didn't have anyone to talk to. You see, is the US saying that, we don't even know who to talk to in Iran. Israel is there confused, that they don't know who to negotiate with. So that at least the Strait of Hormuz can open to ease the cost of, fuel products across the board,
You know what, gentlemen? I like the way you're putting it. Sounds academic. But who is communicating this in simple terms to Wanjiku? Because Mheshimiwa Kitu will go to the constituency or will go to Parliament, Media Center, and give us a statement that does not give, I still call them Wanjiku does not really understand. But the point is, who is communicating this fact clearly to the Kenyans to understand? Because as you said, Kenyans are brilliant people. They are able to pick. But the only thing that is missing is that clear communication, A, B, C, D. Guys, let's keep it clear.
Victor, even right now you're communicating. Right? Right now, the passage, if there's a government spokesman, he often issues statements.
Correct.
But who synthesizes and listens to it? It is you, the media, whom we depend to project.
I should be given that role today.
You, the media, are the ones who project it out there. And the reason why have you called us here today? To be able to synthesize, to have these, in small bits and pieces, so that our viewers can listen. And also, they are also intelligent, and they have access to these phones, Victor. All the information is here these days. You do not need, you just need to go to WhatsApp AI and ask what's going on, and it explains to you. That is, of course, for the for the persons who understand. But generally, we all know there is a war going on, that this is external. Every Kenyan knows. It's only also the aspect of opportunists, politicians who want to politicize everything and to try and use this as a chance to try and paint the government in the negative light. You see? And that is what now the voice that what you're talking about is confusing the environment. But I want to tell you, the communication is out there. It depends whether you want to listen or not.
Okay. Has the government depleted the stabilization fund?
I can't confirm that right now. I need to get the facts about the same. But what I do know is there was the release of the 5 billion. So I can't tell how much is still in the balance. But it's something, it's open. I think I should have known that would be required. I would have gotten that information.
Okay. So what if, I asked that question, what if there is that legislative bit of it, amendment, to have fuel as exempted supply?
Victor, that is a very good idea. Those are the proposals we are looking for. But as I said, we need to also look at what happens on the other side of the coin. Okay? So this is a conversation that we need to also hear from the economists and everybody else. What happens? We said we are not isolated. And secondly, there's a lot of commitment that had been done even prior to our coming into government by the other governments for part of the loans that I used to make, some of the roads that goes to many times the central Kenya, and many times that region. Most of the roads that were in that place, most of it has been securitized. Therefore, there is more than meets the eye behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's a good proposal you've given. It has to be subject now to a conversation of all of us. That's what we were talking about earlier with him. And I even wanted to add something that Prof may not even have picked it well. But even President William Ruto, by the way, is very available. If today you, as an organization, you say you want to go and have a discussion, you even feel that you may not want to have a discussion with the cabinet secretary, trust you me, you can just write a letter and you get an appointment straight to State House.
Correct.
And have a discussion one-on-one with William Ruto. It is that easy and simple. I can tell you, State House is very open for every Kenyan. Victor, you seem not to believe because you have a mentality of what has been happening in the past. This is a different regime of government that is very open to all of us to be able to have. If you have a serious conversation that you want to have and you have a proposal, you've given a proposal, it will be subject to the discussions. But as you say, let's look at the other factors. The reason why we had to have this 8%
Yes.
is because it was within the elastic limit that something could be done. It could be engineered. Even the pulling in of the 5 billion. And as I told you, even right now, good idea given. Many other people will also give the ideas. We'll have the discussion over the same, and then we see. It comes to the floor of the house. In the floor of the house, also people have different ideas. We canvass, and then finally we vote.
Okay. Then, Prof, another thing is that, is it not so hard to consolidate the minor levies? The railway maintenance levy, development levy, we have got anti-adulteration levy and merchant shipping levy. Can they be consolidated?
This is part of the law. We have a framework that did not start yesterday or with Lydia Mugo.
Yeah.
It started a long time ago. Boys had these levies for the longest time possible. And it is not something new. When someone wakes up in the morning and says that we have too many of these taxes. No. These have always been there. And it's important to understand why we need them. We talked about the road maintenance levy, that without it, these members of parliament won't be able to go home. Because, if the roads are bad, the guys down there, our voters, the citizen, is going to say, no, you'll not come home until the road is made. The same thing with the railways. We have a railway system, infrastructure, that we must maintain over the years.
9 taxes.
No, you see, you talk about taxes, but at the end of the day, a country is run by taxes. I am not saying that we should be taxed, beyond our means, but certainly if you go to the best of the countries globally, they pay taxes, correct? And that is where they first work. That's why we go there to beg. We should not be where we are today, and that's why during our meeting with the president last week on Thursday, we're comparing ourselves with the Koreans, because the Korean speaker was in town. And we're saying that, no, in 1971, we're just like you guys. What happened? It is because they financed their development. And that is one thing that we must do. We must finance our development. Let me just say something else. When you talk about supply exempt, you see, again, it boils down to taxes. Maybe this is not our forte, because it has to go back to the ministry, the National Treasury. But let me say one thing. Even when the parliament cut down the VAT from 13 or from 16 to 8%, the IMF complained. They said, no, you cannot cut this on this level, because it is going to affect your national pass, the basket that we need to develop this country. And because of those commitments that we made globally, which were not made by William Ruto, they were there even before he came in as the president of this country, there is a level that we cannot go beyond. Because if we go beyond that, we'll not be able to honor our commitments, to our partners or to the donor agencies that we work with. And so as we talk about the taxes, I think the key to me is what Honorable Kitura said. Let us sit down. Every proposal is a proposal and should be scrutinized. We should have a discussion and ask ourselves, if we take this proposal by Victor, where he says that let us focus on supply exempt, where are we going to be as Kenya in the next 3 months? If we cut down all these 9 levies that we're talking about, the question would be, okay, so what would our people see on the ground, in the coming months? But finally, what you're looking at is, right, you see, talking about the 5 billion shillings subsidy, which did not come in yesterday. It came in, in last month, when of course, prices went up so quickly. And as I said, that is a formula that is set by the law, that if the cost of fuel in UAE or in Saudi Arabia goes up, before it gets applied, and if it goes up, the cost of fuel in Kenya goes up. Now, that subsidy has addressed the last 1 month of the price shift that we've seen. Now, the shifting is still going up, but it's still happening. Why? Because we have not sorted out the Strait of Hormuz problem. The prayer that we should be sort of praying Kenyans is that we hope very soon that the US and Iran are going to have an agreement, so that we close this, so that all of us now we can start asking questions. Why the price is not going down, yet the war is going. I saw some politicians, the guys on their side, saying that, but the war is the US and Iran are not fighting anymore. Open your phone, Google, ask yourself where we are with this war. You'll see Trump saying, the other day when he was traveling from China, saying that, Iran has refused, to agree to the terms, and so they are still fighting. And so the Strait of Hormuz is still blocked by the US, and Iran is still bombing any ship that goes through. So there is no supply through the Strait of Hormuz.
Quite interesting. We talked about the issue to the marketing, cutting some of the some of the marketer and distributor margins. Is it possible?
That's exactly a proposal that one guy gave, and he was saying slash it by 4 shillings. Ridiculous fellow who is my colleague in Parliament, who looked like extremely intelligent earlier before, but right now when he continues to express himself as correct, I'm a businessman. How do you do that? That's what I'm saying. It's a conversation we need to have. Okay, we need to see what are the offers. So that of course is also infringing onto a business community.
Correct.
We are in a rock and a hard place. If you want to close all the petrol stations, if they close down, what happens? Will you be having outlets? So those are conversations that is there. So in my view, it's one of the most impossible one to be able to be affected. Generally, I still say we have a government right now, Victor, that listens to everyone. From President William Ruto, I can tell you, and I want Kenyans to know, this is the most accessible president, an intelligent president, and is always willing to listen to ideas. All these people who are going on strike, please come on the table. It is very easy. Any member of anybody, you, as I said, if you do a letter today to the office of the president, you will have access to see the
Rishima, this is your camera.
Yes.
I assume you're talking to a class 8 student who did not go to school today. Just tell him more what is really happening in simple terms.
Okay, what is happening, Kenyans, is there is a war that happened between Iran and Israel, backed up by the United States of America. And there's a place called Strait of Hormuz. It's on the ocean where it's a sea. It's a place where ships pass across, and that place, large of it is controlled by Iran. And because of this war, the U.S. had created a blockade because of they gave their own thoughts that as the ship passed through that Strait of Hormuz, and also most of the oil also comes from Iran. They were making Iranians were making money, or the regime that was there was collecting taxes or collecting money that runs their governments from this Strait of Hormuz. And so the Americans have created a blockade where they say no ship should go through here, or if they go through it, it has to be sanctioned by them. On the other side, Iran says if there's a ship that passes there without their approval, it is bombed. What has this done? It has created the ships to go through the farthest route, which makes it extremely expensive to transport oil from the Arab countries. And secondly, insurance of those of the fuel. Because when a ship comes, and I want to tell Kenyans, a ship is a very big thing. It carries millions and millions and millions of barrels of liters of diesel and petrol. So it has made the price to go very high. But if tomorrow this fight between US and Israel and Iran comes down or subsides completely, then expect a serious drop in the prices to the normal where we were supposed to be. But I have also one message also, because I can see time is gone. This weekend was one of those that I felt very bad as a leader of this nation. When I saw the level in which politics is taking, there is a lady by the name Rachel Wandeto, who was doused with petrol in Mweke Kasarani. And as leaders in parliament, as leaders of this country, first of all, we stand with Rachel Wandeto. Most of us will be going this week. You'll see members of parliament going to see her in KNH. We are well informed of the very good treatment given to her. But I want to call upon all the young people and all the leaders and all the politicians, all the young people, even as we head towards election. Please, if a lady decides to tattoo, because he loves the same William Ruto policies and ideas and the way he runs this country, the other politicians do not weaponize or poison young people to think that when you pour petrol, when you kill someone for politics, it's a success in any way. Those young people who did that, the time you will go into cells for 30, 40, 50 years or life, because even that is actually life sentence they will get, it will not be worth it, young people.
Actually, political intolerance.
Political intolerance.
Murkomen and police IG.
And I thank Murkomen, IG, and several members of parliament and leaders of this nation who have gone to see that lady. I want to ask all the young people, let us tolerate each other. No, that was very important for me. In fact, I should have started that because it really touches us, and as a country, we want a very...
Prof, there's some photos I want you to see here. On 14th of last week. That was last week.
Last week, yeah.
Last week. It was a very big day for you, and we've never seen you. Director, perhaps you can have those photos. The Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology in Konza was officially given a charter.
Correct.
So by President William for himself. Director, do we have this photos? Okay. Yeah, they're coming up shortly. But you can just tell us what really. All right. We can have the photos. The charter, it happened. But just explain to us as you are doing that. Now, does this really mean for KAIST?
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. And I think it's also linked to fuel. When I talked about being more innovative, using technologies to move our energy sort of.
Yeah, there we have it.
We are focus. Excellent. Let me say the following. One, with this, the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology.
That is you. Why didn't you wear like that? You come into the show.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Next time. We were very excited.
That's the photos.
Oh yeah. That's where we are with the president, and this has been a dream come true, which was actually started. It is part of Vision 2030, but it has been driven by the president of Kenya. It started, actually raising resources when he was the deputy president of this country. He's the one who negotiated with the Koreans for the initial $100 million to support the infrastructure development and equipping of the facilities.
Yeah.
President Ruto has been very keen in advancing quality education in this country. And in our last meeting, prior to this, he told me once, he said, no, a country can only develop to the level that they can think. If we are to compete with the best of the best in the world, then the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which is now a fully fledged university, is now mandated to drive Kenya's development to the next level. Our focus is on science, technology, innovation, and engineering, which in this case will focus more on driving Kenya's industrial-based growth and Kenya's modernization. Why is this important? It's because all the countries that are up there in the first world sort of league, all of these are being driven by the fourth, fifth industrial revolution.
Yeah.
Around digital tech product, digital solutions, and so on and so forth. And for Kenya to get to that level, we must now start our own journey of producing our own digital tech solutions, tech products, so that we can feed into our country, but also feed into the regional economy. Being that country that has played a leading role in ensuring
My director
that
is asking,
we are happy.
how important is it going to be? How different is it going to be from other universities around?
This is a specialized university. What we mean by a specialized university is that there are few universities in Kenya that are of national importance. Generally, they're identified as universities that will focus on specific areas. Now, ours is a postgraduate degree only university that will focus on science, technology, innovation, and engineering. We're not going to focus on social sciences. We're not going to focus on Christian and all those other things out there. Subjects. Ours is just to focus on this specific ecosystem around science and technology.
All right.
Why is, as I said, and this is important because Kenya must play a leading role in the tech sector if we are to compete with the best of the world, best in the world. And this is what we say. We told the president on Thursday, because the Koreans were there, and just to mention to Kenyans that the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology is modeled after the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which has led the transformation of Korea from 1971 to today to what it is. All the companies that you see, Samsung, LG, are led by graduates of the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. What we said finally was we need to change that. We just told the President William Ruto that his dream for this country, of Kenya growing to first world country, that dream, the vehicle that will take us through that journey to first world country, is the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology.
Thank you very much. And so the last one is, when is the commissioning happening?
We did have a conversation with the president last week, and we are looking at having the commissioning take place next month. Okay. He was actually supposed to come on site for the word of the charter and the commissioning of the facilities and the equipment. But because of the Africa Forward Summit, with all the heads of states in town, he only gave us 2-3 hours, not actually 2 hours, to have a conversation with him, to get the charter awarded, and also to have a courtesy call from the Speaker of the National Assembly of Korea, who is the second highest most powerful person out there. I think I'll share with you the video just to to listen to what the Koreans say about Kenya and about the journey that they've gone through in transforming their country and what Kenya can learn from that.
So we have got a special invite during that official commission.
No, actually, we are going to have a conversation with my brother here to see how he can even come a bit earlier with his team to see what we're doing down there,
And I'm also in the committee of ICCII. Yeah, so we are the ones who give them the funding.
Correct.
And we are, as a committee, we are so determined to really support them because this is the future of Kenya, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Professor Emmanuel Mutise is the chair of the inaugural University Council. You are guiding the university's final construction and staff recruitment.
Correct.
Very good.
Thank you.
So let's wrap it up. Congratulations once again. And for KAIST, keep going. KBC is part and parcel of you.
Asante.
All right. Let's take a break. GMK continues after this. But you see, even one of the guests did not come because of the film. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Victor.